A very good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us for the UBC News tonight. My name is Wadulo Arnold. Mark Mugalo Muhammad is on sign language. It's going to be an hours-long bulletin this 16th day of April 2026. So do sit tight. Let's give you the headlines and get straight into the bulletin.
The news headlines are brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
7 arrested and trucks impounded. And in business, government to operationalize minimum wage policy. MPs recommend ring fencing 689.5 billion for land acquisition.
Brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes, and let's get started with the first story. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has underscored the importance for civilians to acquire knowledge of weaponry during their ideological training sessions at the National Leadership Trainings in Chankwanzi. He asserts that individuals who have undergone such trainings in the science of arms can be of assistance in the event of big wars. Our reporter have more on this report.
The one-week retreat for the National Resistance Movement members of Parliament in Chankwanzi ended with a shooting exercise. President Museveni led the exercise, successfully hitting all his targets with the provided ammunition. Following the president, a team from the Special Forces Command demonstrated their exceptional performance, which greatly impressed the legislators. Stand by. Hey. Wow. Stand by. Shoot. Oh. Shoot. Woo. Not the all of you. Subsequently, it was now the legislators' turn to practice their shooting skills. Speaking shortly after the range shooting exercise, President Museveni underscored the importance of civilians to acquire knowledge of weaponry during their ideological training sessions at the National Leadership Trainings in Chankwanzi.
Ours is the People's Army. So we normally encourage the civilians to learn the science of arms. This is part of the strategy. In case of a big war, you need numbers. That's how we get a small country like Israel, with only 6 million people, able to raise a big army, because they train and go back home to do other things. The army which stays in the barracks is small, it's not big. That means that you have got people who can fight, but whom you don't have to pay all the time. You only pay them when you call them, what they call mobilization. And that's how you can maximize defense. So this is a system that started when you came from the bush. That's why we have the reserve under Otema.
He also re-echoed his message for the new legislators to fight corruption in Parliament.
But the first thing to do for you is to fight corruption. Because if you don't fight corruption, all these things we are doing will be for nothing. They will steal the ration of the army, they will steal money of the government. So what we discussed yesterday is, all this time we have been discussing, is now your new challenge. Don't tolerate any corruption. If anybody comes to bribe you, say, why are you bribing me? Why are you giving me, you are my enemy? So that we clean the society, all the money goes to help the people, no wastage. And then we shall benefit because we can always, the government can always assist you.
Director of the National Leadership Institute, Colonel Okey Rukogota, says his leadership will continue to strengthen the shooting skills of the civilian authority.
It's very edifying, sir, that you continue to strengthen our masses with the means and ways of defending our democratic process, our transformation process, and our revolution.
Philip Aguta for UBC News in Chankwanzi.
The AK-47 in the arms of the first man of the country. Uganda Broadcasting Corporation's talk show Behind the Headlines remains a premier platform where leading minds converge to interrogate national issues through experience, technical expertise, and government policy. The just concluded Chankwanzi retreat has reignited national discourse, sharpening focus on the direction, priorities, and public expectations of the 12th Parliament, particularly amid growing demands for accountability, efficient service delivery, and inclusive economic growth. Let's take a look at the details.
Everybody was appreciating and acknowledging that this was a good retreat, and the resolutions, as we shall go through.
National Resistance Movement members of Parliament, including independent-leaning legislators and a section of opposition figures serving in cabinet, have concluded a high-level ideological and leadership training at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi district.
So these 9 days enabled us as a party to make members of parliament know one another. That somebody from Arua met somebody from Kisoro, and they can call each other by name.
The training emphasized patriotism, Pan-Africanism, democracy, and socio-economic transformation, while addressing emerging governance challenges such as youth unemployment, digital transformation, and regional integration.
But I was very keen to listen to the messages of the president, because there is what they call intent of the leader, of the principle.
Legislators were urged to prioritize citizen-centered laws, strengthen oversight, intensify the fight against corruption, and improve service delivery across sectors.
Chankwanzi was an opportunity for the new parliamentarians to understand NRM ideology. I have a private discussion with Yusuf on the issue of Pan-Africanism as an ideological position. But it's very important that they understand.
Particular attention was drawn to bridging the persistent gap between policy formulation and implementation, especially in key sectors, including health, education, infrastructure, and agriculture.
The president himself is leading the fight, and that's why he was very emphatic, saying in this Sanja, we are not going to tolerate corruption, and with also emphasis on parliament. Because he had complained earlier on, it was at the function in Kororo, that he has been getting information, but he has been doubting, but he has now confirmed there are forms of corruption within parliament. And that's why at the Ngoma sitting, the last day, he was saying he does not want to hear or see corruption in parliament. Because I think committees and the corruption tendencies.
On Behind the Headlines, hosted by Timothy Nyangweso, panelists including Dr. Chris Bariomunsi, Professor Waswa Balunyua, and Lydia Wanyoto disclosed that the retreat was held under the theme, Party Discipline Against National Interests. They looked at ideological clarity, collective responsibility, and the need for measurable results, alongside effective monitoring of programs such as the parish development model and the MIOGA.
The idea of caucusing and giving people party cards signifies the fact that you know whoever you give your party cards and you knew their skills. Because this is a party, you'd assume that whoever they give their party cards, they knew them.
The retreat reinforced party cohesion, legislative discipline, and alignment to wealth creation, industrialization, and improved service delivery, with strong emphasis on accountability and responsiveness to citizens.
To align the expectations of the people, we have a manifesto to deliver, and we hope that the public can trust us and support us to deliver to the expectations.
Behind the Headlines airs every Wednesday on UBC, reflecting rising public interest in governance and policy direction.
And in more UBC news tonight, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Nabanja, has implored internal auditors to be patriotic when executing their duties. The Premier was this morning opening the 20th Annual Internal Auditors Conference at Speak Resort Hotel, Munyonyo in Kampala.
Speaking at the 20th Annual Internal Audit Conference at Speak Resort Munyonyo, Nabanja urged auditors to focus on high-risk areas that could derail service delivery, especially in initiatives like the parish development model.
I was told namweza PDM zibaita kote muzitegedde. Ayo to the parish. Aha. Okay. And because of that, and some of you are not patriotic, you let it go. And that's how parish chiefs have stolen our money. And that's why some of our people have not yet benefited. And those who have benefited have paid bribes. They judge these small people 300,000, 200,000. Even in areas which are near the district headquarters where you people sit. Can't you move on foot and see the nearest parish and ask you, parish chief, and you, the chairman circle, let me see the members who have got. You tell them to even list down the people who have already so far got.
She emphasized the need for auditors to remain independent, act with integrity, and work closely with oversight institutions to fight corruption.
Act with courage. Now bakutumeya akanya waki. They can call you so and so. Even if they call you an abusive name. But when you have done something good, feel proud. Act with courage and independence. I know when you are independent, they will fight you. They will use all sorts of things to fight. Strengthen collaboration with oversight institutions, including Parliament.
Nabanja described auditors as key goalkeepers of public resources and called on them to be patriotic and courageous in their duties.
Would you wish to go to Chankwanzi? So I'm going to influence and make sure I go to Chankwanzi. And for you to be more patriotic, you are also supposed to continuously advise management on building robust systems capable of withstanding shocks.
The President Institute of Internal Auditors, Ruth Dorin Moteve, stressed accountability in the use of government funds.
What we are doing now is aligning ourselves in those. And as things change, it means we have to enhance our skills. It means we need to have tools that are going to help us work. For example, the kind of technology that we are working with 10 years back would require us to probably just use Microsoft Excel to analyze data. Where we are at now, we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are talking about robotics. So we need to build those skills.
This annual conference of the internal auditors helps the board to drive the mission to empower, guide, and transform our internal audit profession, at the same time transform our organization where we work.
The conference aims to strengthen auditing practices to support service delivery and socio-economic transformation. For UBC News, I am Sudat Kaye.
More in our UBC News tonight. The Parliamentary Committee on Physical Infrastructure has recommended that government ring fences the 689.5 billion shillings land acquisition project 2 budget for immediate release in the financial year 2026-27. While presenting the report of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on the budget, estimates and ministerial policy statement for the Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program for financial year 2026-27, the Deputy Chairperson of the committee, Tony Awani, said that the committee was informed that land acquisition across 32 ongoing civil work contracts has progressed to 29.4%.
Parliament convened Thursday morning to receive reports on ministerial policy statements from different sectoral committees. According to the ministerial policy statement report from the Committee of Physical Infrastructure, the budget for the Ministry of Works and Transport is projected to grow significantly by 41.8% from 5,693.9 billion shillings 2025-2026 to 8,074 billion financial year 2026-27. The Committee on Outstanding Areas to Contractors observed that the Ministry closed the financial year 2024-25 with 1.489 trillion areas, and by 2025-26, 514 billion had been paid.
To contractors was more than 5 trillion. The report of the committee says only 2 point something has been put in the budget. But what we owe to contractors, and that's why they had abandoned the sites, was more than 5 trillion.
However, although 218.456 billion had been approved for areas in financial year 2025-26, no resources were released by half year.
This complete non-release directly caused the suspension of works on a number of national road projects and triggered additional interest charges. The committee further notes that instead of restoring the arrears allocation, the proposed financial year 26-27 budget slashes it from Uganda shillings 218.4 billion to only Uganda shillings 39.6 billion.
The committee also notes a significant positive development where the land acquisition project 2 has received a significant budget increase.
Received a significant budget increase from Uganda shillings 113.1 billion to Uganda shillings 689.5 billion. Targets ring-fence the Uganda shillings 689.5 billion land acquisition 2 budget for immediate release in Q1 financial year 2026-27.
Despite the many road infrastructure challenges in KCCA, the authority's budget on integrated infrastructure and services has been reduced from 621.8 billion to 529.7 billion shillings. Members of Parliament have reacted on this report, with some saying small monies are being allocated to make roads in big districts like Ntungamo, Isinjiro and Kasese.
Money we get from here in allowances, we use it to work on our roads, and we even hire private graders.
The President even called the Minister of Finance over that issue to provide more money to the bigger districts.
The issue of new districts not having tamaka roads. We the new districts, however small we are. In Kalungu, Madam Speaker, we only have a tamaka road going to the sister's place and one church. And
the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Nitamong, expressed dissatisfaction that the roads approved by Parliament have never been worked on.
That road, I think, was given to, I don't know to which construction company, but the works are not moving. Go to Kampala Fort Portal Road, the works are not moving. To Hoima Road, nothing is moving. What could be happening?
The contractors it may not have been fully paid, but some money was given to them, especially, the Mitiana Road.
To Fort
Portal, yes. But
Semojo Ibrahim Nganda, MP Kira Municipality, proposed places in rural areas without return on investments should not have tarmac roads, which attracted debate from the MPs in the House.
Because you can't come and throw a road at each and everybody, including those who are going to use it for grazing.
Us from the village, we also bring economic activity here. To stand here and say that we are from the village and we don't deserve to have tarmac roads, is it in order?
There is no district that is not important. And that's why you have all these representatives here. We will not start belittling other districts. Like my district, I don't have tarmac, but I have economic activity there. I have all the investments in that district.
The report was referred to the Committee on Budget for Harmonization, Reconciliation and Consolidation. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwetabinji at Parliament.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament has called for urgent action to unlock the full potential of Uganda's youth as a driver of economic transformation. Closing the 4th National Labour Convention, Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa emphasized the need to strengthen productivity through targeted investment in high-value sectors. Let's have a look.
Officiating the closure of the two-day, Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Tayebwa stated the need to support youth entrepreneurship by ensuring inclusive growth and addressing barriers to development.
Our young people are not merely beneficiaries of development, but they are key and critical primary drivers of it. They represent innovation, resilience, and immense productive potential. However, this potential remains constrained by persistent challenges, including unemployment, underemployment, informality, and skills mismatches. Unlocking this potential, therefore, requires deliberate, coordinated, and sustained policy action.
Tayebwa noted that Parliament will continue to prioritize legislation and budgetary support aimed at promoting job creation and strengthening labour market institutions across the country.
The question before us, therefore, is what must we as parliamentarians do to effectively respond to this national imperative? In this regard, Parliament will continue to prioritize legislation and budgetary support that promotes job creation, protects workers' rights, and strengthens labour market institutions. However, achieving meaningful progress will require strong partnerships across government, the private sector, workers and employers' organizations, and development partners.
Minister of State for Labour Esther Davinia Anyakwan revealed that government is in the process of operationalizing the minimum wage framework to improve workers' welfare.
One of them is operationalization of the minimum wage advisory board and the wage council. Government is taking steps to constitute the minimum wage advisory board and the wages council in accordance with the Minimum Wage Advisory Board and Wages Council Act, CAP 229. Following the directive by His Excellency the President during the Labour International Day celebration 1st of May 2025, the Ministry is fast-tracking the appointment of the board members and finalizing the report on earnings and wages in different factories.
Allen Kajina, Chairperson TVET Council, emphasized the need to reposition technical and vocational education as a key driver of industrialization by investing in skills development.
But the one thing we have not invested in is TVET. Until most recently, when a new law was made in the March of 2025, that completely turns around the way the nation now thinks about TVET. Because TVET is the driver of productivity.
The two-day convention ends with a commitment to strengthen skills development, expand employment opportunities, and drive inclusive economic growth. Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Leaders from the National Unity Platform have strongly criticized the proposed sovereignty bill, describing it as oppressive and a threat to the economic and political freedoms of Ugandans. At a press conference held at the party headquarters in Makerere, Kavule, top leaders of the National Unity Platform, including newly elected members of parliament from various constituencies, expressed concerns over what they termed as increasing suppression under the proposed law and increased corruption which hinders development.
The leaders also condemned the ongoing eviction of traders under the so-called trade order, urging that many Ugandans are being displaced without proper relocation plans.
Develop bias on the current development that is being brought by the government. So we think that whereas this new law is being put into action, we should think about the already existing set-up constructions vis-a-vis what we need to set up as a country. A government is responsible to think about its citizens. This government must have planned already.
They are sending away vendors in the disguise or in the name of trade order. But we the leaders are saying, let us first plan for these people. We all appreciate a city that has proper transportation, proper mobility, proper access to shops, retail shops and all that. But how are we planning for these people?
Understanding that politics is not a joke. That politics is what determines how you live and actually how you die. Politics determines how you are born, how you live your life, and how you are born, and how you eventually die. The party Secretary General David Lewis Rubongoya, newly elected Member of Parliament Mukono South Robert Masaluka, and others criticized the rising levels of corruption in the country, noting that despite heavy taxation, essential services such as roads, hospitals, and schools remain underdeveloped.
Current situation in our country, for us, we think it is entirely premised upon the government to take care of its own citizens. A government, there are no laws that work retrospectively. We cannot be working backwards.
There is a market that is under construction, the Scotch Internet market. It only needs at least 1 billion shillings to be fully accomplished. But it hasn't been accomplished. Please don't divert taxpayers' money into personal gains.
On the sovereignty bill, the leaders urged that the proposed legislation is politically motivated and aimed at weakening the national unity platform, while also negatively impacting citizens' economic stability.
We invite all the people of Uganda to pay keen attention to this evil scheme, resist it and stop it. What it intends to do is to identify Ugandans in the diaspora as foreigners. Can you imagine? And by implication, if your son or daughter who is on Cheyo, Uganda having failed to give him or her an opportunity to work in Uganda, sends you money and you receive it in Uganda, you are considered an agent of a foreigner.
Dr. Zedriga urged Ugandans to remain resilient and hopeful, assuring them that despite the current challenges, change is possible.
Many of you also had things to tell us, specific areas that you like us to contemplate on, but mine is the
National Unity Platform leadership has called on Ugandans to stay united and vigilant as the debate around the sovereignty bill continues to spark political tension across the country. I'm Bantu Machabe Semambo and Jamil Sekaja reporting for UBC.
The State Minister for Investment and Privatization, Evelyn Anite, has hosted a high-powered delegation of over 40 Chinese investors. The group, led by Uganda's ambassador to China, Olive Oneka, is exploring opportunities in manufacturing, agriculture, and renewable energy, among other key sectors. Minister Anite says that Uganda's peaceful and stable environment continues to make it a preferred investment destination. Let's have a look.
In a show of growing economic ties, Uganda has rolled out the red carpet for a delegation of Chinese investors. They are seeking to tap into opportunities in the Pearl of Africa. At the center of this engagement was State Minister for Investment and Privatization, Evelyn Anite.
And it is possible that you can actually do it in this wonderful land called Uganda, and we will facilitate you and ably do it for you, and you will get a huge return on investment.
The investors, led by Ambassador Olive Oneka, are seeking opportunities in agriculture, manufacturing, and renewable energy.
Who are willing to see what there is, how can we engage to make the friendship, the partnership fruitful.
Uganda and China share over 6 decades of diplomatic and economic relations and ties. These have already translated into thriving industrial parks and growing trade.
64 years of fruitful relationship between government of Uganda and the Republic of China. And it has been very successful to the extent that we, the people of Uganda, say with China, everything is possible.
At Kapeka and Mbale industrial parks, Chinese-led investments are already reshaping Uganda's industrial landscape. Government says more incentives await new investors, including tax holidays and free land.
Her Excellency Ambassador of Uganda to China, she have done a very hard work in promoting and attracting Chinese enterprises to go to Uganda to invest and engaged in economic and trade cooperation.
The visit is part of Uganda's broader economic diplomacy strategy to position the country as a top investment destination. Minister Anita says the visit is timely.
As an embassy in China, our flagship commodity from Uganda is coffee. So some of them are focused on coffee, but generally they are interested in what there is that Uganda has to offer.
We are always on the hunt for looking for more business opportunities and looking for more investors to come and increasing our FDI in our country. It's very exciting for me, a great morning. And since this year began, I must say that this is the first fish that we're catching. It's exciting.
As Uganda continues to court global investors, engagements like this signal a growing confidence in the country's economic potential and stability. Henry Okrut, UBC.
And with that, UBC News shall take a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be back with more news. Don't move an inch.
When you don't use Momo, you are forced to quarrel.
Mama, abantu abakuluma atandisa obuyayi iwe sente dange nizadde kolera ngobi nakolera sente dange.
Save yourself from quarreling. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3# to pay and enjoy zero charges below 5K. That's the power of Momo.
It's back, bigger, and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312 206 400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
On his 52nd birthday, General MK invites you for a charity run. The run will be held on 26th April 2026 at the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds starting at 6 a.m. Get yourself a kit using these MTN and Airtel payment platforms. Run for charity, run for hope.
Run for charity, run for hope.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, and we're heading into the second segment of the bulletin. The Parliamentary Committee on Environment and Natural Resources has implored Parliament to recover funds meant for water areas from the recurrent budgets of the perpetual defaulters of government ministries, departments and agencies. This, according to the chairperson, Herbert Ariko, has highly crippled activities to boost water access to different parts of the country. As at the end of March 2026, the outstanding area stood at approximately 75.37 billion shillings. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has directed the habitual ministries to respond accordingly.
Honorable Rico, have you heard?
The chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, Herbert Ariko, presented a report on the ministerial policy statements for the financial year 2026-2027. In the budget estimates, the committee reports that National Water and Sewerage Corporation is likely to face a funding gap of about 86 billion to cover 5 projects currently supported by government and development partners. National Water and Sewerage Corporation seeks 198.38 billion, but only 112.38 billion has been allocated.
As you might know, a multi-million 30 million cubic water supply project was set up at Karuma to supply Oyam, Gulu, and the neighboring districts of northern Uganda.
The report earmarks areas in critical need of water extension, including Bukedea, Nakauka, Hoima, and Kakumiro.
This provides us with a requirement of about 50 billion, to be specific.
The House was informed of what has been claimed to be a mischarge after ministries including Internal Affairs, Defence and Veteran Affairs have become habitual defaulters of clearing water arrears despite subvention.
Minister of Defence and Veteran Affairs, 40.3 billion. Uganda Police Force, 9.7 billion. Honourable Speaker, I wish to conclude.
On Tuesday, you give us a report on that mischarge, whether it was approved by PSST.
Right Honourable Speaker, most obliged. Will come with the report.
Thank you, thank you.
The Committee on Environment and Natural Resources seeks the authority of Parliament to forcefully recover the arrears from the recurrent budgets of the affected departments.
And persistent non-remission should attract budgetary sanctions.
Meanwhile, the report maintains that the country is likely to reap about 2.20 trillion shillings oil revenue in the next financial year as Uganda heads into the commercial production phase. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda has been allocated 106.87 billion to spice its roles, including oversight, regulation, local content monitoring, among others. The budget for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has also been spiced up with an increase of 438.11 billion compared to the current financial year. However, shillings 300 billion required to settle and complete the inherited Rural Electrification Agency projects is among the unfunded priorities.
The people in REA, their weaknesses notwithstanding, they had the confidence, they had the will of development partners, so that where this government was not able to find resources, they were able to sit down and write project proposals and attract money which was being used.
When they would, the management would quarrel amongst themselves, but the lines would be fixed and power would be there. So all that you ought to have done was to remove those top guys who were fighting and leave the institution to be there, because they had very competent people, very, very competent people. But then the money that was transferred from REA to the ministry, what did that money do?
Nevertheless, the Ministry of Energy, through the Electricity Scale-Up project, plans to fulfill about 1,073,500 new connections in the next financial year. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Rebecca Kadaga has urged the rationalization of select cross-border procedures within the East African community, citing restrictive travel documentation requirements in Tanzania and trade-related bottlenecks in Kenya. She further proposed the establishment of a direct Entebbe-Goma airlink to enhance regional mobility, while observing that central bank governors remain measured, at times resistant, regarding the adoption of the common currency. She made the remarks while addressing Umoja Amani Kwanza Uganda delegates at her office in Kampala.
Delegates from Umoja Amani Kwanza Uganda, representing Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi and the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Somalia and Rwanda, convened in Kampala for a high-level engagement with Rebecca Kadaga, focused on advancing regional integration and multilateral cooperation.
This convention is called Umoja Amani.
In her address, the former Speaker and current Minister for East African Community Affairs called on partner states to demonstrate full adherence to the East African Treaty by dismantling persistent non-tariff barriers and streamlining border management frameworks.
And the other thing is, we are concerned. Tanzania is a founding member of the community. We are the first three: Tanzania, Kenya and Uganda. But Tanzania is acting as if they don't know. And yet there's a part of this agreement from the beginning. So it's a big concern for us. That a product made in Uganda should be a product of the community. A product made in Kenya is a local product, should not be taxed. But they close the doors. See? About the common ID, we shall also discuss it, because already we have the passport, but we shall also discuss about the common ID.
On the proposed East African Monetary Union, she noted that progress remains incremental, with central bank governors maintaining a deliberately cautious posture as complex technicals. Fiscal and policy harmonization issues continue to be evaluated. The delegates commended her sustained leadership in championing regional cohesion, acknowledging her role in fostering constructive dialogue, policy alignment, and deeper integration among partner states.
East Africa integration. So what I was saying is that you and I have been given an opportunity, under Umoja wa Amani Kwanza. You and I, we can join hands together, raise our voices to amplify the vision of the East African integration, the East African Federation, and later the African integration.
The engagement concluded with a renewed commitment from both sides to strengthen regional cooperation, underscoring sustained dialogue, policy coordination, and collective political will as critical enablers of meaningful East African community integration.
Pia nashukuru Mungu kwa wafanyakazi wenzangu hapa nchini kwetu waliopo hapa kwenye mkutano wa leo. Mungu awabariki kwa kufika kwenu hapa. Nichukue nafasi kabla ya yote nitambulishe kamati yangu ninayofanya kazi nayo hapa nchini kwetu, Mheshimiwa mwakilishi wa rais wetu. Naomba nitambulishe kamati yangu ya hapa nchini Uganda.
Ambantu Machawese Mambo, reporting for UBC.
The Uganda Communications Commission has officially launched the 10th National Conference on Communications, set to take place at Makerere University from the 24th to the 26th of June 2026. Speaking at the launch, UCC Executive Director Nyombi Tembo emphasized the need for innovation that responds to real market needs and contributes to job creation and inclusive growth.
The National Communications Conference provides a vital platform where ideas are not only generated, but also tested against industry realities and refined into practical solutions that can drive national development.
To provide a national platform for the presentation of peer-reviewed research
that offers local solutions and proposes improvements in ICT. 2, to facilitate dialogue among academia, government and industry on ICT trends, challenges and opportunities. And 3, to promote professional networking, particularly between young innovators, experienced practitioners and training institutions.
The 3-day conference will showcase cutting-edge ICT research and locally developed technologies, strengthening Uganda's ICT innovation ecosystem and mentorship.
And colleagues, this is very important. Any innovation that does not contribute to sustainable development, to improvement of people's lives, is not worthy of being called innovation.
Outstanding researchers and innovators will be recognized, with winners being rewarded. Stakeholders have been invited to participate in the conference and contribute to shaping Uganda's digital future through research-driven and market-oriented innovation.
So what innovations our students are doing, we are going to further tie up with the industry, that how we can have industry support. Because without industry support, bringing the solutions to the market is not possible. So what our students are doing through the Innovation Hub, we are going further to tie up with the major IT and different market players, but also how the industries can give hand to our innovative projects.
Innovation must create real value. It must improve the lives, generate jobs, and contribute to Uganda's general economic well-being. NCC 2026 has been designed to push that conversation forward and to connect the right people to the great ideas.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Now, at least 7 people have been arrested, 50 illegal sand mining boats destroyed, and 8 trucks impounded in a joint operation by NEMA, Ministry of Water and other sister agencies. This operation targeted hotspots in Mpigi and Kalungu districts along the busy Masaka Road, one of the hubs of illegal sand mining. Let's take a look at those highlights.
National Environment Management Authority, Ministry of Water and other sister agencies have conducted a joint operation that saw several illegal sand miners arrested, trucks impounded and boats destroyed. The operation to crack down illegal sand mining was prompted by increasing environmental degradation, particularly in wetland areas of Luera, where uncontrolled sand extraction has led to destruction of biodiversity, weakening of natural water filtration systems, and heightened risk of flooding.
A lot of contrabands, including canoes and other implements and equipments, have been seized, and our operation continues to ensure that Ruera ecosystem is fully liberated.
At Gwanika village in Nabyewanga sub-county, PG district, authorities impounded 8 sino trucks that were used in illegal sand transportation in the area.
6 suspects already in custody and will be processed for further management under our judicial system.
In Muzungu village, Luera, in Kamunga sub-county, Kalungu district, 50 boats used for illegal sand mining were destroyed. 7 suspects arrested, while 1 fled the scene. Temporal structures at different illegal sand mining sites were also demolished. Some of the affected truck drivers whose vehicles were impounded claimed that they were misled by site owners who allegedly assured them that the sand mining sites were licensed.
Government etuyambe bwe basasudde license bazitimbenga ku mulyango tumanyi n'ekirembe kikoze eki kisasudde kusinga emoka zaffe okujja ne tubonaabonera eno.
Environment offenses, we call them strict liability offenses. The person who is caught degrading the environment is the primary suspect. That doesn't mean that there are no other suspects. The landowner is a suspect, and all people who have abated. So you may be a driver who has come to only buy sand, If we realize that you were involved in degradation, you are also a suspect.
The impounded trucks were taken to Kampala. The area L1 chairperson Ronald Semanda says the operation was long overdue, citing the devastating impact of sand mining on local infrastructure. He says that the roads in the area have become nearly impassable due to deep potholes caused by constant movement of heavy trucks ferrying sand.
Omusenyu guno abagusima banene nga ne bovaayo okubaako kyeyogera tebayinza kukiwuliriza. Era ekisinga okunnuma nti kwe kusembeera ekkubo lyaffe lino lye bali mu kukola nga tusuubira okutambulirako obulungi ate era bazze baliwo omuggodde.
The exercise is intended to enforce compliance with environmental laws, restore degraded wetlands, and ensure that only licensed operators engage in sand mining under strict regulatory guidelines. Susan Naung and Andrew Sebira reporting for ABC TV.
Over $288 million were secured by Kampala Capital City Authority from the Africa Development Bank for projects aimed at upgrading 69.8 kilometers of roads, rehabilitating junctions, improving drainage to manage flooding, and building walkways. With works underway, KCCA Deputy Executive Director Benon Kigenyi, alongside the engineering technical team, held a press briefing aimed at familiarizing the media on the progress of the project, which will be due August this year. Kigenyi revealed that the project is 60%, though he pointed out Old Port Bell Road via Nakawa, Moobs, Kitintale rather, to Luzira, where contractors were not up to speed, as he explains.
During his field inspection visit to ascertain progress of the road construction work via Nakawa, Moobs, Old Port Bell Road to Luzira, the Deputy Executive Director Benson Kigenyi was also not impressed with the work of the contractor where works are underway, yet manholes are uncovered, something he says can turn into a death trap. Here, the Deputy ED immediately directed the contractor to cover all manholes with concrete slabs and barricades under his watch.
In terms of the pace of work, we are aware that this contractor is behind schedule. This job is about 65% in progress, but it also has the time of 90%. So we're expecting that.
With KCCA focusing on a smart city, the Deputy Executive Director also directed that all utility services like telecom cables should all be passed through underground utility service ducts, which are free to all companies. Today, KCCA technical team updated the media on the progress of the major infrastructure overhaul under the Kampala City Rehabilitation Project, where the contractor is expected to hand over the finished work by 5th August this year. While addressing the media on the project's progress, Benson Kigenyi, the Deputy Executive Director, revealed that the project is near to zero, citing the improved mobility, managing of the notorious floods attributed to major drainage infrastructure within the city.
I'd like to also state, Honorable Minister, that the overall progress of these roads stands at 78%. And this is up from 40% when we compare with January 2025, where it was at 40%.
The ED also revealed that all rehabilitated road junctions have changed the outlook of Kampala and have helped traffic flow. Whereas the project is a success, as explained by the Deputy ED, it also faces issues with location utilities like...
We have had vandalism of the infrastructure that is being put. The vandalism is not limited only the things that have been put, including road signages.
Engineer Jacob Byamkama, the project coordinator, says so far 93.4 kilometers of roads have been sealed with a final wearing.
Length is 93.4 kilometers. So far where you have a riding surface is 66.4.
It is not just a road project, it is a strategic investment
in the future of our capital city. Efficient road infrastructure is essential for mobility, productivity, and economic growth.
The Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project is a phased infrastructure initiative aimed at transforming Kampala into a more efficient and resilient urban center. The project targets congestion mitigation of floods through upgrading 121 kilometers of roads. According to KCCA, the roads are anticipated to last for 25 years. Reporting for ABC TV, Helen Barbara Gizamba and Rogers Komagom.
The State Minister for Planning, Amos Lugolobi, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to transitioning every Ugandan into the money economy in the upcoming national budget. Lugolobi says this will enhance productivity and expand opportunities within the labour market. He made the remarks during the dissemination of the 2025 Labour Market Survey report by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics here in Kampala.
2025 Labour Market Survey covered households as well as informal and formal establishments across the country. Its main objective was to provide insights into the structure and dynamics of Uganda's labour market, including employment, unemployment, job creation, jobless, and vacancies. The report offers critical data to guide policy decisions on labour supply and demand.
Unemployment rate by sex and rural-urban, we still observe that in the rural areas we have lower levels of unemployment as compared to urban areas for mainly the females. Even when we went into the disaggregation of rural-urban, you still see that the females were not doing any activity for pay or profit. They were searching for jobs and they were available to work in case of an opportunity arose.
Speaking at this event, UBO's Executive Director Chris Mukiza noted that this survey was initiated in response to the rapidly changing labour market and growing demand for timely labour statistics. He adds that the nationwide survey was fully funded by the government of Uganda to ensure reliable and up-to-date data.
If we have to look at assess the supply and the demand, we do not go deeper into work and safety. I don't know whether the detailed report has it, but recently to answer that together with the skills mismatch and unemployment.
Meanwhile, Mr. Lugolobi emphasized that government interventions in the next budget will prioritize job creation and increased participation in the money economy.
The report therefore gives us key pointers relating to the productivity of the labour force, the different sectors, as well as the manpower gaps that are prevalent across sectors. Let me pause for a moment to talk about productivity of the labour force.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Agri David Kibenge, urged Ugandans to actively embrace the PASH development model as a pathway to reducing unemployment and improving household incomes.
The budget for next financial year, the VIA market, an additional 10 billion Uganda shillings to support the apprenticeship program under the Ministry of Gender, so that we work together with the Ministry of Education to facilitate that smooth transition. The experience that the employers out there are asking for is something we should facilitate deliberately.
According to the reports, Uganda's dependence ratio stands at 82.8%, meaning that about 8 free dependents rely on every 100 working-age individuals. Children make up the largest share of the dependents at 76.7%, while older persons account for 6.2%.
When you don't use Momo, you get insulted by strangers. Save yourself from insults. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3# to pay and enjoy zero charges below 5K. That's the power of Momo.
Step into elegance, step into confidence, step into La Vie Boutique. located at Grand Imperial Hotel, Shop 6 and 8, right behind Bank of Uganda. La Vie Boutique brings you high-class corporate and casual wear for men, from sharp designer suits and crisp shirts to stylish casual t-shirts, tracksuits, shoes and accessories. We've got everything to make you stand out. Call us on 0772 419 181 or 0705 555 558. La Vie Boutique, where class meets style.